Hello everyone and welcome to SN Study Station. So in the previous session we have seen about equity shares. I hope you remember. If you have not seen that video, please check the description. So preference shares. There are two types of shares. First one is equity, second is preference. So preference shares are a type of shares that provide shareholders preferential rights. As its name also defines, preference. So that means they have preferential rights. Preferential rights over what? To receive dividends at a fixed rate. Okay, so dividend is paid to either equity shareholders or preference shareholders. Okay, so dividend is paid to shareholders. Rest all creditors and creditors of the company, they get interest from the company. So dividend is paid to shareholders only. So they are before paying it to equity, dividend is first paid to preference shareholders. So they have the first right to receive dividend, and they have a certain fixed rate also. Means whenever preference shares written somewhere, that means they will carry some percentage, 10% preference shares, 12%, 15%, 20%, okay, 5%. So like this, they carry a percentage with them. So that percentage shows their dividend. They will get fixed dividend whenever the company will declare dividend. So that rate is fixed. That rate, that percentage only, means in the company's profit, if their share is 10%, so they will get 10% dividend, 10% share in the profits. So before the dividends are paid to anyone, it is first paid to the preference shareholders. Means before the dividends are paid to equity shareholders, it is first paid to preference shareholders. But if you remember, in the equity shares, the shareholders don't have first right to receive dividends. They don't have preferential right to receive dividend, but they have voting power. Through voting, they can change so many things. Means even they can decrease this percentage of preference shareholders also. So they have that voting power. But these preference shareholders, they do not carry voting rights. So these two things are there. Means they have the preferential right to receive dividend, and they do not have voting rights. Because if somewhere they are getting benefited, then in the other, every time they cannot be benefited. Na? So there are some advantages for preference shares which can be disadvantage for equity shares, and there are some advantage for equity shares which can be disadvantage for preference shares. So like this it works. In equity shares, if you compare these two, so in equity shares, they don't have first right to receive dividend, but preference shareholders have first right. So first, whenever the company is having profits, it will first distribute that profits among the preference shareholders based on their fixed rate. Then the left profit will go to the equity shareholders. So that left profit can be more also, can be less also. So it depends. And preference shareholders, they don't have voting rights, but equity shareholders, they have voting rights. So let's see more about it. Let's see about the types and features. So first we'll see about the types of preference shares. There are 10 types, as you can see, 8 types of preference shares. Redeemable preference shares. What does that mean? That means they can be redeemed after a certain time period. As you have seen in equity shares, there is no redemption, there is no maturity. So there is a maturity, there is a time period for that. Means after 1 year, after 2 years, after a certain time period, the preference shares can be redeemed. Means these shares can be sold and the person can get their money back, can get their investment back. So that's redeemable preference shares. But irredeemable preference shares means they don't have any redemption period. Okay, once the money is invested, so they cannot get back. Normally these type of shares don't prevail. So redeemable, irredeemable together, we can take. Redemption period is there in redeemable, so it can be sold after a certain time period, it can be redeemed. But in irredeemable, there is no time period. Cumulative. So cumulative preference shares, what does that mean? They will get profits each year. Suppose in a particular year, the company occurred loss. There is loss in the company. So company is not able to give dividend to preference shareholders. So in the next year, they will get that. They will get the profits. So if in any year, if during a certain time period, if in a particular year or in a particular time period, the preference shareholders couldn't get their dividend, couldn't get their share in profit, so that that all will be collected, and later when the company will distribute dividends, so they will get it back. So together they will get it. So there is they are safe. So even if the company is having loss, so that time they will not get dividend, but later they will get when the company will distribute. So non-cumulative, they don't have such rights. Okay, so like these two also you can compare. Cumulative means if in a particular time period they don't get dividend, so they will get it later, that will be accumulated. So non-cumulative, it is not accumulated, means if any time they couldn't get the profits, they couldn't get the share in profits, so later that will be lapsed, so they will not get it later. Now convertible and non-convertible. Convertible means these shareholders have the option to convert themselves into equity shares, and non-convertible, they don't have the option to convert them into equity shares. So it's like in equity shareholders risk is more, but they have powers and everything. In preference shares it is safe, means they will get fixed dividend each year. Okay, but they don't have voting rights. So it depends person to person which type of shares he wants to purchase. So convertible means they can, even preference shareholders have the option to, so that they can convert themselves into equity shares. But non-convertible preference shares, here they don't have any option to convert themselves. If they have preference shares, then they have preference shares only. If they want equity shares, they have to buy equity shares separately. Now participating and non-participating. So what happens, sometimes along with fixed dividend, the participating shareholders get extra dividends, get dividends in extra profits also. Suppose in a year company is having profits, okay, but other than that profit, the company got surplus money from somewhere, the company got extra profits from somewhere. Okay, maybe it has done some activity in the past, due to that it has got profit. So what happens in participating preference shares, ki they can, along with their fixed dividend, whenever extra profits are there, so they can be the part of that profits also, they can get dividends through that profit also. That all rates and that all terms and conditions will be decided, but they will get share from that also. Non-participating means they are eligible only for their fixed dividends. Other than that, they do not have any share in any other type of profits of the company. Now features, let's come towards features. Cumulative dividends, except irredeemable preference shares, all will get cumulative profits. Cumulative preference shares, you have seen, means if anytime they couldn't get profits, so that profits all it will be collected, and later they will get it. So except this irredeemable, every type of preference shareholders will get cumulative dividends. Convertibility means they have the option, they can convert themselves into equity shares. Participating in surplus profits, that we have seen just now, participating preference shares, they can participate in extra profits, surplus profits. Voting rights means they don't have voting rights, but only when the company is unable to pay them dividend for more than 2 years. If the company is unable to pay them dividend, company is in loss and it is not able to pay them dividend for more than 2 years, then only the company will allow preference shareholders to participate in their voting system, otherwise not. And redeemability means there are mostly redeemable preference shares are there, means the shares can be redeemed after a certain time period, and in India this time is mostly 8 years. Okay, so in India this time is after 8 years they can redeem it, and there are many changes in rules and regulations also, so you can check the updated things. So these are the types and features we have seen. Now last thing, that is merits and demerits. So they are more secure than equity shares. As I have told you, this point I have already told you, means equity shares are very risky, means if after distribution of profits to everyone, they will get the profits, they will get the share in dividends, So that can be more also, that can be less also. There is no guarantee for that. But in preference shareholders, they have fixed rate, fixed percentage, that percentage of profits they will get. So they are more secure than equity shares. Fixed and cumulative dividend, that we have already covered. Fixed dividend they will get, and if any time they couldn't get the dividend, they will get that all dividends will be collected and together they will get it later. Redemption means they can be sold later after a certain time period. Convertibility means they can convert themselves into equity shares. They have this option also if anyone wants to convert themselves into equity shares. Demerits also, if there are merits, then demerits also will be there. So expensive source of finance as compared to equity shareholders, they are expensive source. At equity shareholders, in that the cost of capital is high, cost of capital is less, but in preference shareholders it is high. No voting rights, obviously they don't have any voting rights, so they cannot participate in important decisions of the company. Fixed dividend, other than that fixed dividend they will not get anything except in the case of participating shares. So that is the drawback, means even if the company is having huge profits, then also they will get their fixed dividend only. Then permanent burden. So for the company, they are permanent burden, means the company always have to pay them dividends, so they are burden for the company. Okay, so I hope it is clear, the preference share concept is clear to you. So we'll see in the next video, we will see about debentures. Okay, thank you.